You hold a power within you. That power can be hidden or it can be unleashed. That power is in your mind. It is the power of self-belief. Not the shallow confidence the world sells, but the quiet, steady certainty that grows from doing what must be done, day after day. Self-belief is forged in the fire of daily action. When you live your life with conviction, with unwavering clarity about who you are and what you value, you become unstoppable. You gain the strength to endure any hardship and the focus to complete anything you truly set your heart and mind to. This is not about ego. Ego is a poison that blinds you with arrogance and entitlement. Self-belief is humility in motion, knowing that you are not guaranteed success, but stepping forward regardless. It is understanding that through perseverance, discipline, and steady forward motion, we carve our character and build the life we were meant to live. We do not wait to be chosen. We choose ourselves. We do not ask for permission to live with power. We accept the burden of becoming someone worthy of it. To believe in yourself is to carry yourself with conviction. You walk with your head high, not because you think you are better than others, but because you know who you are. You understand that tomorrow is never promised, so you speak your truth today. You love your people today. You act with honor today. Live like each sunrise could be your last, because one day it will be. Self-belief is doing the hard things, even when the fire of motivation has long gone out. It's getting up to go to work, training your body, studying your craft, showing up fully in your relationships, not because it's easy, but because it's right. It's holding yourself to a higher standard when no one is watching. It's doing your duty, quietly and fiercely. These choices, these repeated acts of integrity, form the backbone of your life. Over a lifetime, these acts accumulate. They shape you into someone unbreakable. They sharpen your wisdom and deepen your courage. They make you fearless, not because you do not feel fear, but because you have learned to act in spite of it. This is the path of the Stoic, not loud, not boastful, but unwavering, grounded in reason, anchored in virtue, steeled by discipline, fueled by a deep, enduring belief that no matter what the world throws your way, you will meet it head-on and you will rise. No matter where you are in life at the moment, whether you're climbing or rebuilding, soaring or standing still, pause and cultivate gratitude for this day. Not because everything is perfect, but because this day is yours. It is real. It is present. Think to yourself, with calm and clarity, you already have everything you need to take the next step. You are not empty. You are equipped. You are not lost. You are learning. Say to yourself with conviction, this or something better. Let it be your mindset, your message to the world, and your quiet commitment to growth. Let's begin. Chapter 1: The Foundation of Inner Fortitude. Self-belief is not found in flattery or in applause. It is built in silence, in solitude, and in struggle. The Stoics taught that the only thing truly within our control is our own mind, our judgments, choices, and responses. Everything else is borrowed. When you understand this, you begin to shift your energy inward. You begin to cultivate something permanent, something that cannot be taken away. Self-belief is built by aligning your actions with your principles. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." If you truly believe in yourself, you will not cower in the face of obstacles. You will see them as part of your training. Life will test you, but every hardship is a forge. The fire does not burn the iron, it hardens it. Self-belief turns that fire into fuel. Every act of discipline is a declaration of self-belief. Waking early, controlling your tongue, training your body, studying when you could be distracted. These are not small things. These are quiet declarations that say, "I am worth the effort." They say, I refuse to let the day own me. I will own the day. When you take responsibility for your time, your energy, and your habits, you cast a vote for your potential. Every healthy choice, every refusal to give in to comfort, every decision to sharpen your skills instead of wasting time, these are the tools that carve a stronger version of yourself. They are the proof that you are choosing to live consciously, not reactively. You are not waiting for the world to approve of you. You are proving to yourself day by day that you can be relied upon. And that reliability is everything. Because when you can trust yourself, truly trust yourself, the opinions of others shrink in importance. The noise of the world fades into background static. You no longer seek validation in fleeting applause or recognition. You understand that your worth is not determined by the whims of others, but by the consistency of your character. You no longer fear failure the same way, because you know you won't quit. You trust your ability to adapt, to rise again, to pivot and persist until you carve your own way forward. You begin to build not just belief, but confidence. A quiet, grounded confidence that no one can hand to you and no one can take away. It becomes part of your bones, your breath, your way of being. Every disciplined action is a building block. One by one, you construct the foundation of your self-respect. You are not tossing bricks at random. You are laying them down with precise intention, forming a structure strong enough to weather chaos. It might seem small in the moment, choosing water over alcohol, a workout over the couch, silence over anger. But these moments shape you. They whisper to your soul that you are not a slave to comfort, that you are the master of your direction, that you are not driven by moods or pressure, but by principle. Each disciplined choice becomes a reflection of your inner authority. This is not an overnight miracle. It is slow, it is steady, it is often thankless, but it is certain. You will not always feel proud, but you will feel aligned. Every morning you rise on time, every time you hold your ground in a difficult conversation, every time you stay committed to a goal after the motivation fades, you lay another brick. And these bricks don't crumble. They are tempered by effort, pressure, and time. They become the base of something unshakable, a fortress built from within. Over time, you begin to sense it, a growing strength within, a quiet shift in how you move through the world. You stop apologizing for your standards. You stop hiding your fire. You are no longer a person who wishes or waits. You are a person who does, a person who decides. You become someone others rely on, not because you tell them to, but because your life begins to reflect clarity and consistency. You radiate integrity, and people feel it even if they can't name it. You become a person of resolve, of direction, of power. You become someone even you admire. This transformation begins in silence, in the cold early mornings, in the moments when no one is watching, in the tension between temptation and truth. In those early moments where you choose growth over ease, presence over distraction, and integrity over impulse. That choice, repeated 1,000 times, builds something the world cannot break, because the world didn't build it. You did. You earned it. And that kind of power cannot be faked, borrowed, or bought. It can only be forged by you. Start with one daily action that reinforces your belief in yourself. Just one, because it's in the small moments where the most lasting changes begin. Wake up when your alarm goes off, not just to meet the day, but to meet your own standard. That act alone says, I value my time. I value my purpose. It is not just about rising early, it is about rising with intention. Speak only when your words carry meaning, and you will begin to see the power of silence. You will feel the difference between noise and impact. Keep a promise to yourself every day, even if it's small. That single fulfilled promise becomes evidence in your mind that you are dependable, that your word is law. It says that your decisions matter and that your commitment to yourself holds weight. It's easy to break a promise when no one else is watching, but those broken promises chip away at your self-belief. Honor even the smallest commitments. It trains your nervous system to trust you. It teaches your soul that your intentions are more than just thoughts. They're instructions for action. Over time, this daily consistency compounds. What was once effort becomes instinct. You become a person who believes not in fleeting hope, but in firm habit. Someone who no longer waits for the stars to align before they act. These actions are not trivial. They are anchors. They are the steady rhythm beneath your life, the quiet, powerful heartbeat of your discipline. They build trust within, deep trust. The kind that remains when everything else fails. The kind that says, no matter what happens out there, I have my own back. When everything external feels uncertain, that inner loyalty becomes your sanctuary. You no longer seek reassurance. You generate it. You learn that the storms outside can't uproot you when the roots inside are strong. And when you trust yourself like that, you are no longer at the mercy of the world. You stop reacting from fear and start responding from wisdom. You stop chasing validation and you begin to act from clarity. You understand that your life is not a performance, it is a practice, a daily devotion to strength, integrity, and growth. What starts as one small action becomes a personal revolution, a radical shift in how you live, how you think, how you speak, and how you move through the world. That is how self-belief takes root and grows into something unshakable, immovable, and deeply alive. Chapter 2. Discipline is self-respect. Discipline is not a punishment. It is an expression of self-respect. It is not about deprivation. It is about dedication. The Stoics knew that a chaotic life comes from a chaotic mind. When the mind is unsettled, the body follows. When you believe in yourself, you do not indulge every impulse. You do not chase fleeting pleasures or hollow distractions. You do not allow the noise of the world to govern the rhythm of your life. You choose what serves you, not what seduces you. You decide what is valuable and move toward it, even when it is uncomfortable. That is the essence of a powerful mind. Epictetus reminded us, no man is free who is not master of himself. True freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is having the strength to do what is right. Freedom does not come from external comfort or worldly success. It comes from internal command, from being the one who steers your own thoughts, your own habits, and your own reactions. You must learn to rule over yourself. You must learn to command your body when it resists discipline, your desires when they conflict with your principles, and your distractions when they whisper for your attention. That is power. That is sovereignty over your life. Self-belief is not about hoping things will work out. It is about knowing that even if they don't, you will stand firm. You will not crumble when pressure bears down. You will not blame others or circumstances when life doesn't go your way. You will not retreat into comfort or silence when conviction is needed. You will act from character, not convenience. You will hold your ground even when the ground shakes, because you have fortified your foundation. You will look back on moments of testing and know that you didn't flinch, that no matter the result, you will be proud of how you showed up, because how you show up is your legacy. That is why the Stoics trained daily, in thought and in practice. They didn't wait for a crisis to start preparing. They treated each ordinary moment as a lesson in readiness. They understood that a sharpened mind and a steady soul cannot be built in panic. They trained their minds in moments of peace so they could stand firm in moments of chaos. Their strength was not a sudden surge. It was a cultivated habit, a product of sustained effort, built layer by layer. Discipline is the gymnasium of the soul. It is where strength is forged, clarity is refined, and resilience is shaped. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's not easily praised by others because often no one sees it, but it's powerful. It builds muscle in your willpower and armor in your convictions. Every time you rise when you'd rather stay in bed, every time you choose the hard right over the easy wrong, every time you resist comfort in favor of excellence, you are not just practicing discipline, you are building your character. You are laying down a stone in the structure of your identity. You affirm your worth through these repeated acts of mastery. You confirm your values by standing by them in private, not just in public. You demonstrate to yourself that you will show up with strength even when no one else sees, when there is no audience, no applause, and no reward. You prove that you are your own foundation. You show that your motivation is not external, it is internal. You become the kind of person you would want to follow. That is a profound form of leadership, self-leadership. You tell yourself that you matter enough to carry yourself with intention, that your time is sacred, your life is meaningful, and your actions have weight beyond the moment. You train yourself to stand alone, to lead yourself, and to hold to your compass even in darkness. You rehearse the mindset that does not panic in storms, but finds stillness, because it was cultivated in calm. These daily efforts are not just motions, they are messages to your future self, reminders that you are capable, that you are prepared, that you do not fear challenge because you have trained for it. They are building blocks for your inner citadel, the stronghold that cannot be breached by panic, deception, or failure. This citadel is not built from pride or illusion, but from trial and truth. Every disciplined moment adds a stone to its walls. Every time you persist through discomfort, delay gratification, or face down your fears, you reinforce its foundation. You show your future self that you will be ready, not by accident, but by design. Your preparation is not accidental, it is deliberate, earned through thousands of unseen decisions. Not because life gave you ease, but because you chose to prepare in difficulty. When others sought escape, you chose engagement. When others waited for motivation, you leaned on principle. When others looked for shortcuts, you chose the long path of mastery. This is the essence of becoming, choosing the path that builds endurance, clarity, and strength over the one that merely promises comfort. You did not drift toward resilience, you created it. You cultivated it from within. Not because everything went according to plan, but because you learned to navigate when nothing did. When every door closed, you found another path. When plans collapsed, you built new ones from the rubble. You adapted not by chance, but by resilience. You stood tall in the wind, not because you were unshaken, but because you refused to be moved by fear. You moved with grace even when the terrain was unstable, because you trained yourself to trust your steps even when the road was uncertain. Self-belief isn't born in ease. It is tested in adversity and strengthened in chaos. It is forged when life stops making sense and still you persist. It comes alive when you choose to act with principle even when the outcome is unclear. It's in the way you return to your path after every fall, the way you adjust your grip when everything slips, the way you speak to yourself when the world goes silent. That is self-belief in motion, a quiet, unwavering force that no setback can shake, no critic can destroy, and no loss can erase. It does not come from applause. It comes from alignment. It grows from doing the right thing when no one will ever know, from choosing the harder path when the easy one calls your name. It is not a boast, it is a bond, a sacred trust between the self you are and the self you are becoming. It becomes part of who you are, earned, lived, and indestructible. It is the steel beneath your calm, the conviction behind your silence, the certainty behind your stride. It cannot be given and it cannot be taken. It is yours and it is forever. It is what remains when everything else has fallen away, and it is what will carry you forward when no one else can. Create a simple daily routine that prioritizes your values. Let it be a framework that reflects your highest intentions, not your passing moods. Decide when you wake up and honor that decision as if it were a commitment to someone you deeply respect, because it is. Determine when you train your body, not just for aesthetics or health, but to prove to yourself that you are capable of mastery over weakness. Build a space for reading and reflection, for absorbing wisdom and confronting your thoughts, even when they make you uncomfortable. Stick to it, not rigidly, but with reverence. See your routine not as a cage, but as a set of rails that keep your day on track. When distractions pull you off course, return without shame. Discipline is not perfection, it is return. Treat your word to yourself as law. Speak it, write it, and then follow it as though it were sacred. Your integrity begins in how you treat your promises to yourself. You do not negotiate with your lower impulses. You recognize them. You acknowledge the temptation, the excuse, the rationalization, and you choose not to obey. You rise above them, not out of superiority, but out of respect for your future self. You understand that giving in feels good for a moment, but staying true to your path feels powerful for a lifetime. Your daily routine becomes a mirror. It reflects whether you live from reaction or intention. So make it intentional, make it yours, and make it the place where self-belief is reborn every single morning. Chapter 3. The quiet mind is the strong mind. The world is loud. It demands your attention, your emotion, your reaction. But the Stoic does not live on the surface of things. The Stoic descends inward to the calm beneath the chaos. Self-belief is not loud confidence. It is quiet certainty. Seneca wrote, "A man is as wretched as he has convinced himself that he is." Your perception shapes your reality. When you believe you are weak, you behave weakly. When you believe you are capable, you act with courage. When you convince yourself that you are unworthy, the world responds with resistance. But when you convince yourself that you are capable, even imperfectly so, you unlock the courage to persist. The mind must be trained to see clearly, not once, but every day. Mental clarity is not a momentary flash of insight. It is a commitment to truth, even when the truth is uncomfortable. A quiet mind listens more than it speaks. It hears the chaos without absorbing it. It senses the rise of emotion without being pulled under. It observes rather than reacts. It slows down long enough to find the root before reaching for the fruit. It chooses its path with intention, not urgency. It knows that calm is not the absence of pressure, but the presence of perspective. The Stoic learns to still the waves inside so the storms outside cannot shake him. This is not detachment. It is strength earned through awareness. It is clarity that grounds you when nothing else will. You build this strength by facing your thoughts rather than fleeing from them, by journaling what you fear and daring to answer it with truth, by challenging every whisper of inadequacy and rewriting it with reason. You ask yourself, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Is it mine? Or is it borrowed from fear or the crowd? You strip away the noise until only truth remains. And in that space, clear, open, and honest, self-belief finds fertile ground. It takes root not in perfection, but in reflection. And from that root, it grows strong enough to hold you upright, no matter the weather. Begin a daily practice of stillness. Set aside 10 minutes each morning to sit with your thoughts. Ask yourself, what am I fearing today? Why? What would the Stoic do? Train your mind to question, to pause, and to choose. Chapter 4. Endurance makes you legendary. To endure is not to suffer passively. It is to carry weight with honor, to confront life not as a victim, but as a participant. Endurance is not weakness disguised as patience. It is strength, lived out loud in silence. The Stoics admired those who bore their burdens without complaint, who faced adversity without flinching or theatrics. They believed that fate does not choose the weak to bear heavy loads. It chooses those capable of transformation, those willing to let suffering shape them rather than shatter them. Self-belief is proven not when things are easy, but when everything falls apart. It is revealed in the silent days of heartbreak, when the ache of loss has no words and no resolution. It is tested in the long nights of uncertainty, when the future is a fog and every path feels unsure. It is refined in the grinding repetition of duty that no one claps for, when you carry responsibility not for recognition, but because it is yours to carry. Endurance is how we become who we were meant to be, not by escaping struggle, but by outlasting it, reshaping ourselves through it, and growing deeper because of it. When life becomes heavy and hope seems distant, it is self-belief that says, "Keep going." It is the force that whispers, "This pain will pass, but the strength you build from it will remain." And that strength, once earned, can never be stolen. Marcus Aurelius faced plague, war, betrayal, and the burden of empire. Yet he did not surrender to bitterness or become a prisoner of his circumstances. He wrote each morning to remind himself of his duty, of his principles, of his role, not because he felt strong, but because he knew what was right. He did not escape into despair or self-pity. He stepped forward into the weight of responsibility and carried it with composure, reminding himself that the test of a man is how he holds his posture under pressure. This is the path of the Stoic: to keep walking when the world tempts you to sit down, to keep moving when the easier choice is stillness, to keep acting with virtue when anger and apathy feel more justified. When you endure with dignity, you inspire others without speaking a word. Your life becomes the sermon, the living, breathing message that resilience exists. You become a mirror through which others glimpse their own capacity for strength. Your steadiness becomes the standard others measure themselves by, the quiet example of what it means to persist without complaint, to suffer without self-pity, and to carry your trials with grace. You radiate a strength that comes not from talent, not from luck, but from tenacity, an iron-willed devotion to your path. People may not know your pain, but they will feel your presence. They will feel the steadiness in your voice, the patience in your actions, the reliability in your energy. They will sense something uncommon in your demeanor, a refusal to quit, a refusal to be bent by hardship. You become a source of gravity, a person who grounds the moment, a person who shows up without needing recognition, who endures not for applause, but because endurance is who you are. You become the kind of presence that calms storms simply by standing still within them. Self-belief does not shout. It does not wave its arms or seek permission. It walks forward with purpose, with a stride shaped by alignment rather than approval. It does not demand attention. It commands respect through action, through repetition, through the way it carries the weight of the day and says, "I will not stop here." It shows up when it's inconvenient, when the body is tired, when the world is uncertain, when the outcome is unknown. It keeps showing up when the applause fades, when the path narrows, when the support disappears, and only your character remains. That is the mark of one who has become resilient, not through words, but through will, not through declarations, but through decisions, through repetition, through self-command, through the quiet discipline of one who has chosen not to be broken, one who has built their soul brick by brick, hour by hour, trial by trial. That kind of presence is not made, it is earned. And once it is earned, it becomes undeniable. When facing hardship, repeat, "This is training. I am becoming stronger." Let this phrase become your anchor in storms, your mantra in moments of uncertainty. Say it with conviction, not as denial of difficulty, but as acknowledgement of transformation. You are not merely surviving, you are evolving. Do not ask for it to end. Ask how you can grow. Ask what quality in you is being developed through this pressure. Is it patience? Is it grit? Is it clarity? Every hardship holds a hidden invitation to ascend. Track your endurance like a warrior tracks scars. Do not hide them, honor them. Let them remind you not of the pain, but of the power you proved to yourself in that moment. Each scar is a lesson you earned through experience. Write them down, reflect on them, and understand their purpose. Let them be proof that you did not collapse, you adapted, that you did not avoid, you faced. Let each trial become a chapter in your legend, not a footnote, not a wound to regret, but a triumph to remember. Your story is not defined by ease, it is defined by your endurance. The world may not see it, but you will know, and that knowledge will carry you through whatever comes next. Chapter 5. Action is identity. The Stoics did not believe in identity as something fixed. Identity was forged by action. You are not what you say you are what you repeatedly do. Self-belief is not a feeling, it is a practice. Seneca wrote, "Show me a man who is not a slave." He meant that most people are enslaved by desire, by fear, by approval. The Stoic is free because he acts from principle, not pressure. He knows what he stands for and lives it. You do not need to wait until you feel ready. You need to start walking. Readiness is a luxury of those who already trust themselves, but trust is built through action, not hesitation. Self-belief grows when you take steps in the dark, when you move forward without having every answer, when you choose to act because it's right, not because it's comfortable. When you choose excellence, even when no one sees, you are declaring your worth to yourself. You are proving that your effort is not dependent on attention, but rooted in purpose. When you act with integrity, especially when it costs you something, you are reinforcing that you live by principle, not convenience. You begin to create a legacy not of perfection, but of consistency. You move even when uncertain. You build momentum through commitment. Every action, no matter how small, becomes a brick in the structure of your identity. The Stoic knows that progress doesn't always come with clarity, it comes with direction. You don't wait for the conditions to be perfect. You create perfect effort in imperfect conditions. That is self-belief in action. It's easy to act well when the reward is clear. But the Stoic understands that the true measure of character is how you act when there is no audience, no applause, and no guarantee of success. Those are the moments that shape you. They are sacred because they're pure. There's no ego there, only principle. Those are the moments that whisper, "You are becoming." That whisper becomes louder each time you follow through, each time you don't back down, each time you choose discipline over excuse, truth over ease. Your reputation is not your identity. It is an echo, one shaped by perception and misunderstanding. It's how others interpret what they can see, not what you know within. Your job title is not your identity. It is a role, not a reflection of your soul. You could lose it tomorrow and you would still be you. Your past is not your identity. It is a teacher, not a prison. It shows you where you've come from, not where you're bound to stay. Who you are is built, moment by moment, by what you choose, by the thoughts you tolerate, the habits you keep, the values you act on. And the more your choices align with your higher nature, the part of you that craves virtue, growth, and truth, the more powerful your belief in yourself becomes. You begin to trust that no matter the test, you will rise to meet it. You understand that self-belief is not loud, it's not arrogant or boastful, it is steady. It is the calm assurance that when the moment calls, you will answer. And that quiet trust becomes the foundation of everything else you build, your relationships, your goals, your contribution to the world. It becomes the compass that leads you through uncertainty and the fire that keeps you moving when others stop. At the end of each day, ask, did I live today as the person I want to become? If not, adjust. If yes, repeat. Build the identity you respect through consistent action. Let your behavior be your biography. Chapter 6. Self-belief in the face of doubt. Doubt is the shadow that follows every pursuit of greatness. The Stoics never promised a life free of uncertainty. They promised strength to endure it. Self-belief is not the absence of doubt, but the courage to act in spite of it. When you attempt something meaningful, your mind will raise questions. What if I fail? What will they think? Am I enough? These questions are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you are on a meaningful path. The Stoic does not silence these questions. He answers them with action. Epictetus taught, it is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments about them. The same is true for self-doubt. It is not the task that is too great. It is our judgment of ourselves that makes it feel so. When you change your judgment, you change your experience. You conquer doubt by moving forward, not with perfection, but with clear intention. Every single act of deliberate movement silences the part of you that clings to fear. Each step you take aligned with your purpose chips away at the weight of uncertainty and proves to your mind that you are capable. The process is slow, often invisible to the outside world, but deeply transformative. The more consistently you act in line with your values, the quieter doubt becomes, not because it vanishes entirely, but because it loses its grip on your decisions and no longer directs your path. Doubt becomes a voice you acknowledge but no longer obey. You do not wait for absolute confidence to begin. You cultivate confidence through repeated motion, through tiny victories that accumulate over time. Self-belief is a byproduct of alignment, of taking actions that honor your principles, of showing up again and again, even when fear whispers louder than faith, even when no one is watching, even when the reward is not immediate. You cannot fake it with words or gestures, not for long. You must build it through choices that cost you comfort, through discipline that sharpens your will, and through integrity that withstands storms. Each decision to act with courage, to stand up when it would be easier to fold, is a brick in the foundation of your inner fortress. Every time you rise and move with purpose, even if you stumble, you are forging belief, not as a fantasy you try to believe in, but as a truth you have lived and earned. Write down your biggest doubt, then list what actions would disprove it. Begin with the smallest one. Each time you act, you chip away at the lie and build truth in its place. Truth you have earned. Chapter 7. Emotional control is inner power. The Stoics were not emotionless. They were emotionally disciplined. There is a profound difference. To feel is an integral part of the human experience, an essential part of our design. But to be ruled by feelings, to be dragged by them into chaos, is to forfeit the sovereignty of your soul. Self-belief thrives not in the absence of emotion, but in the presence of emotional clarity. A mind not hijacked by wild impulses is a mind anchored in strength. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayals, losses, and disappointments on scales that would crush many. Yet in his writings, he returned often to themes of compassion, patience, and peace. Why? Because he trained his mind daily to see the world not through the lens of emotion or entitlement, but through the clarity of reason. He learned to accept what was outside his control and take command over what was within. This mental clarity gave him power over his reactions, an unshakable calm in the face of turmoil. When you believe in yourself, you do not need to explode in anger, collapse in sorrow, or spiral into anxiety. You become the observer of your emotions, not their puppet. You recognize the feeling for what it is, you name it, and then you choose your response. You ask yourself, what would a wise person do right now? That moment of pause is not weakness, it is control. That is emotional maturity. That is power rooted in wisdom. Emotional maturity is not numbness, it is radical responsibility. It is saying with conviction, my response is my choice. It's understanding that your emotions are signals, not commands. Self-belief gives you that sacred space between stimulus and response. That space is where your power lives. It is the difference between reaction and decision. It is the foundation of grace under pressure. To cultivate this, begin with awareness. Notice what emotions pull you, what moments trigger you, and what thoughts swirl during those storms. When emotion hits, pause, name the emotion, sit with it. Ask yourself, is this emotion helping me act in alignment with who I want to become? If the answer is no, choose differently. Then act in alignment with who you aspire to be, not who the moment tempts you to become. Practice this enough, and it becomes instinct. Train this pause like a muscle. Over time, it becomes your shield, your compass, and your power. This is not easy, but neither is being ruled by chaos, by emotions that surge without warning and dictate your behavior, your tone, your very path. Being pulled in every direction by impulses feels like motion, but it is not progress. The Stoic understands that mastery is not about suppression, but selection. You do not eliminate emotion. You rise above its tyranny. You study it, understand it, and then decide with clarity how to respond. That choice is what makes the Stoic path so difficult, yet so liberating. The Stoic chooses the hard path of mastery over the easy path of emotional surrender. Not because it is glamorous, but because it is necessary. Because inner peace cannot coexist with inner chaos. Discipline of the mind brings order to the soul, and order brings strength. This path requires vigilance, patience, and practice. It demands that you choose long-term virtue over short-term relief, even when no one else will notice. But the reward is worth it. This is how you build the kind of self-belief that cannot be shaken. A belief forged not in the highs of emotion, but in the fires of consistency. A belief that is stable, grounded, and enduring. Because it is not based on feeling good, which changes with the wind. It is based on being good, on acting with integrity, choosing discipline over impulse, and staying rooted when the world around you spins. That kind of belief cannot be taken from you. It is earned, it is yours, and it is unbreakable. When emotion hits, pause, label the feeling, ask, is this useful? Then act in alignment with who you want to be, not who the moment tempts you to become. Train this pause. It will save you from self-betrayal. Chapter 8. Speak like you believe it. Words are not empty. They shape the mind and direct your future. The Stoics valued speech that was clear, true, and necessary. They understood that every sentence we speak is not just a reflection of our thoughts. It is also a rehearsal for the kind of person we are becoming. Self-belief is not only in how you act, but in how you speak, to others and to yourself. Words are seeds. Plant them with care, because they will take root in your mind and grow into beliefs, habits, and ultimately, your identity. If you constantly diminish yourself in conversation, if your internal dialogue is filled with defeat, you poison your own well. These subtle jabs at your own worth may seem like harmless humility, but they slowly erode your self-trust. They become mantras of limitation, whispered with repetition until they harden into beliefs. Whether said aloud or silently, the words you choose to describe yourself frame your future. Speak them carelessly, and they will confine you. Speak them deliberately, and they will empower you. What you say matters. What you repeat becomes identity. Your language doesn't just reflect your mindset, it shapes it. If your words carry strength, precision, and self-respect, your mind aligns with that message. Words are not just descriptions of your reality, they are instructions to your subconscious, commands to your inner world. Each phrase you speak reinforces a story about who you are and what you are capable of becoming. If your words are full of excuse, complaint, and self-doubt, your actions will mirror that narrative. You will limit yourself not because of actual barriers, but because of the narrative you've allowed to dominate. Over time, you will live out the limitations you speak into existence. But when your language reflects power, clarity, and resolve, your behaviors rise to meet that standard, step by step, word by word. Language is not just for communication, it is for construction. Each word lays a brick, each sentence shapes a wall. You are building your inner temple or your inner prison, one phrase at a time. You become the architect of your identity, guided by your vocabulary. Every time you speak, you're either reinforcing your strength or feeding your weakness. You are rehearsing either defeat or victory. Speak with intention. Speak with integrity. Speak with the awareness that your voice echoes not only in the ears of others, but in the corners of your own mind. Those echoes form beliefs, and beliefs create reality. The Stoic uses language as a tool, not a weapon against themselves. They choose their words the way a craftsman selects tools, with care, with purpose, with clarity. They do not waste breath on empty flattery, theatrical pessimism, or dramatic despair. They understand that to speak with virtue is to live with virtue. Every word is an opportunity to align thought and action, to turn internal values into external expression. They speak to affirm what is true, to reveal what is just, and to live in accordance with their principles, even when truth is difficult and inconvenient. They do not speak to impress, they speak to express character. Their words are lean, honest, and meaningful. They choose language that elevates rather than inflates. Self-belief is reflected not just in what you say, but in how you say it. Your tone, your posture, your clarity. Your presence is shaped by your speech. Every word either strengthens your spine or softens it. Speak as someone who respects the weight of language and the transformative power it carries. Remove self-deprecating language from your vocabulary. Identify and eliminate the moments when you downplay your worth, dismiss your abilities, or joke at your own expense. These habits seem harmless, but they are slow-acting poisons to your confidence. Speak of your goals with certainty, as if they are worthy of pursuit and destined to be achieved through your effort. Speak of your struggles with honesty, but never from a place of victimhood. Struggle is real, but so is strength, and strength grows through expression that honors effort, not pity. When you speak to yourself, do so as you would to a friend you love, a friend in need of encouragement, truth, and grace. Remind yourself daily of your worth, your resilience, and your power to grow beyond today's limitations. Your words can either ignite your inner fire or extinguish it. They can either chain you to your past or free you into your future. Choose wisely. Speak like someone who believes they are becoming who they are meant to be. Let your voice become a compass that guides you, not a chain that binds you. Let your speech serve as a daily affirmation of your purpose, your discipline, and your unwavering pursuit of virtue. Words build worlds. Build one you are proud to inhabit. Let your language be the soil where belief takes root, grows, and bears fruit in your actions. Your future begins with the sentences you dare to speak today. Chapter 9. Self-belief as a daily ritual. Belief is not a one-time decision. It is a discipline, a daily practice of remembering who you are and who you are becoming. It must be renewed every morning with purpose and reinforced every night with reflection. The Stoics began and ended their days not with mindless distraction, but with mindful contemplation. They understood that you do not become virtuous by accident, you become virtuous by intention. They knew that what you repeat becomes who you are, and that each day you rehearse the values you wish to embody. You cannot believe in yourself without knowing yourself. You cannot know yourself without courageous and honest reflection. Without it, you drift, shaped by the opinions of others, swept by your emotions, lost in noise. The Stoics asked hard questions. Did I act according to virtue? Did I live with purpose? Did I waste today? Did I bring strength to my struggles and grace to my victories? These were not questions of guilt. They were rituals of truth. They were not for punishment, but for precision, for knowing how to steer your life with discipline and direction. Each day is a brick. Alone, it feels small, like it couldn't possibly matter. But over time, with consistency, these bricks form the foundation of a fortress. That structure is your character. It's not built in grand moments, but in the mundane repetition of right action. Self-belief does not bloom from shallow affirmations. It is born in the furnace of alignment, where your choices reflect the values of your highest self, day after day. It is sculpted in silence, in decisions made with no audience and no applause. Do not wait for a crisis to discover your strength. Forge it daily. Do not wait for validation to treat yourself with dignity. Do not wait for opportunity to begin practicing excellence. Show up now. Show up when it's hard. Show up when it's quiet. This is the Stoic ritual, daily self-command. The ability to rise each day and act with integrity, even when comfort tempts you to falter, to lead yourself when no one is watching and no one will reward you. End each night by asking 3 questions. What did I do well? Where did I stray? How will I improve tomorrow? These questions anchor you to your path. Keep a record, not for shame, but for sharpening. Track your growth, not just your results, but your resolve. Let your life be a testimony to the power of daily integrity, a quiet, consistent fire that builds something unshakable over time. Let your habits reflect your highest ideals. Let your journal become a map of transformation. Your legacy is being written in your rituals. Chapter 10. The Legacy of the Self-Believing Stoic. What will you leave behind? The Stoics lived with death in mind, not in fear, but in focus. They knew that a short life lived with virtue is more powerful than a long life wasted in doubt. Self-belief gives you the courage to live on purpose, to act with intention, and to see each moment not as something to survive, but as something sacred to shape. They were not afraid to face the end, because they had lived with clarity from the beginning. Memento Mori was not a morbid reminder. It was a call to live urgently, earnestly, meaningfully. You do not know how many days you have, but you do know this one. You do know this moment. And that is where all power lives. The Stoics would say, make it count. Do not wait for permission to be who you are. Do not wait for the world to approve. Walk with quiet power. Live with deep conviction. Let each day be a sentence in a legacy that speaks louder than any title. Time slips through the fingers of those who hesitate, but those who walk forward with self-belief leave footprints that last. The legacy of the Stoic is not in titles or wealth. It is in the way they faced life, with courage, with clarity, with composure. It is in how they held their principles when compromise was easy, in how they responded with patience when anger was justified, in how they stood tall when silence would have been safer. When you believe in yourself, not from arrogance but from truth, you leave behind more than words. You leave behind an example, a way of living that others can look to when their own path is unclear. Your family will remember your steadiness. Your friends will remember your strength. Your children, if you have them, will remember not just what you said, but how you stood. The world may never applaud you. History may never record your name, but your soul will know it lived. You will have moved through the world with integrity, with impact, with presence. Self-belief is power, not to control others, but to master yourself. And in that mastery, you become unforgettable. You may not leave behind monuments or fortunes, but you will leave behind an energy, a memory, a message written in how you lived, how you endured, how you lifted others. Let that be your legacy, to walk with strength, to speak with truth, to act with purpose. In a world that applauds noise, let your quiet resolve be a thunder that echoes long after you are gone. Self-belief is not lightning. It is not noise. It is not bravado. It is a quiet flame that grows with each act of courage, each choice aligned with virtue, each moment of clarity in the face of chaos. The Stoic walks forward not because he is certain of success, but because he is certain of his purpose. Walk with conviction, live with truth, stand in the storm, and above all, believe in who you are becoming. That is the Stoic way. That is the power within you. Unleash it.